What's up, everybody? Good morning. How we doing, man? Welcome to another lovely, beautiful day outside. Now, I don't know about all that, but what's going on, everybody, man? Today we're gonna talk a little bit about Craig Price. I talked to him. Yeah, I talked to him. I talked about him the last couple of weeks. Said, maybe we can put something together. Talk about Craig Price. And I was wondering, yeah, we're 1 year after the Craig Price bill. I wonder if the Craig Price bill had anything to do with the Eddie O'Brien case, because Craig Price was the youngest serial killer, I think in America. But we're gonna talk a little bit about, Craig Price and he was definitely a tapped individual, so we'll get ready for all that. Hit that like button, definitely wipe your feet at the door, subscribe, and we're gonna go back to like 1987 to 1990, you know, talk about a violent juvenile crime, a very violent juvenile offender, and some people say, is it possible for, a 15-year-old to commit a crime like that, when they talk about the Eddie O'Brien case? Absolutely, it is possible. And we're going to show you a 13-year-old, that basically did the same thing. Well, not actually, even way worse than what happened to Janet Dowling. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Just give me a minute to get my head in the game. Appreciate everybody.
Listen up. We're taking a stand for every survivor. We break the silence on command. Yo, are we condemning the man, painting them with blame, not believing the truth, calling survivors insane? Alex, I stand with you, you're not alone in this fight. We're tearing down the shame, stepping into the light. Predators lurk, they hide in the night. Turtle boy pops up, ready to ignite. Re-traumatizing victims, shaming they past, calling them liars, but this truth's gonna last. We rise up, we stand united in the fight. Against the evil, through the dark we bring the light. No more silence, it's time to break the chains. For every survivor, we'll expose the pain. Yeah, Melanie Little, stop backing so proud, bragging about the fortune, got your head in the cloud. You supported Ray from Dallas, what's the deal? How you still stand with him after all the survivors appeal? You said you fight back, but where's your support? Grifting on their backs, how do you report deceptions in the shadows? Hiding what's true, we're calling you out, it's time to break through.
This is for the children who suffer in silence, for the ones who got lost in the cycles of violence. Stand up together, break the spell of the weak, we're done with the silence. United
We rise up, we stand united in the fight. Against the evil, through the dark we bring the light. No more silence, it's time to break the chains. For every survivor, we'll expose the pain.
Time to bring down Will the Glare or Uncle Debbie too. Mental instability, it's time to see it through. Jessica Machado, your hatred for Nan's clear. You hide behind your anger, it's time we persevere. Raised dressed like a sheep, but he's hunting on kin. A wolf in disguise, but we'll never give in. This fight ain't over, we're rising like flames. For every survivor, we're calling out names.
We rise, we shout against all the lies. No more stigma, no more alibis. Stand with us, hear every survivor's decree. Against the predators, we'll stand strong and free. We rise up. We rise up. Listen up. We're taking a stand for every survivor.
Definitely rise up.
Turtle boy, don't get scared now. Just drop the truth, lay it all down.
This is written by the chat, man. Turtle boy, don't be scared now.
Turtle boy, what's the word? Lose your job as a teacher, man, was it absurd? PDFs and papers all scattered on the floor. Heard you were a perv, coaching soccer, now you bored. Resigning the blogging, that's a laughable scene. Lana went over the evidence, truth's really clean. Cries grove, tangled up in claims, dangling in the air. Hope he don't appeal, but the state ain't gonna care.
Short man, little dick syndrome, causing all the fuss. We don't wanna hear you say trigger to us. Why'd you really get fired from your job? Cause you're a fraud, then now no problem.
Perryman Motel, cash on demand, hourly rates available, that's the brand. Sewer turtle in the sewer squad, can't we keep it real? This is your reminder, no chance to conceal. They whisper turtle boy, living in the lies. Heart of the city, yo, it's all in their eyes.
Turtle boy, you claim to be something you're not. But deception's the game, man, taking shots at the plot. Caught in the web of your own fake ideals. Guess you thought your charm could seal all the deals. Turtle boy, what's your name? Trying to hide behind nostalgia, but it's all so lame. I see you living in the shadows of your past fights. This is for you, written down on sleepless nights.
Keep it real, don't act like you're the kingpin. Frauds don't last long, better off in the bin. So turtle boy, remember where you once were. From teaching kids to heavy blog posts, that's the blur.
So turtle boy, don't get scared of the truth, lay bare. Face the music, hit your knees, breathe in the air. This is the hip hop, not the tale we bring. Rhyme it all out, turtle boy, hear the truth sting.
Never gave up. 8 years later.
Yo, turtle boy, don't get scared now. Just drop the truth, lay it all down. Turtle boy, what's the word? Lose your job as a teacher, man, was it absurd? PDFs and papers all scattered on the floor. Heard you were a perv, coaching soccer, now you bored. Resigning the blogging, that's a laughable scene. Lana went over the evidence, truth's really clean. Cries grove, tangled up in claims, dangling in the air. Hope he don't appeal, but the state ain't gonna care.
Short man, little dick syndrome, causing all the fuss. We don't wanna hear you say trigger to us. Why'd you really get fired from your job? Cause you're a fraud, then now no problem.
Perryman Motel, cash on demand, hourly rates available, that's the brand. Sewer turtle in the sewer squad, can't we keep it real? This is your reminder, no chance to conceal. They whisper turtle boy, living in the lies. Heart of the city, yo, it's all in their eyes.
Turtle boy, you claim to be something you're not. But deception's the game, man, taking shots at the plot. Caught in the web of your own fake ideals. Guess you thought your charm could seal all the deals. Turtle boy, what's your name? Trying to hide behind nostalgia, but it's all so lame. I see you living in the shadows of your past fights. This is for you, written down on sleepless nights.
Keep it real, don't act like you're the kingpin. Frauds don't last long, better off in the bin. So turtle boy, remember where you once were. From teaching kids to heavy blog posts, that's the blur.
So turtle boy, don't get scared of the truth, lay bare. Face the music, hit your knees, breathe in the air. This is the hip hop, not the tale we bring. Rhyme it all out, turtle boy, hear the truth sting.
You know we got more. You know we have more, man. Welcome to the show, man. Can we keep it real? That's right. We 8 years deep. 8 years. I've been doing this long time.
Yeah. Yo. Hey, yo, it's time to get real. The streets are buzzing, free Karen Reed, watch the fire, no bluffing. Critics out, yeah, they loud, but we ain't backing down. Let's shed light on those wearing the crown. Step into the scene, enter Aiden Kearney, aka Turtle Boy, thoughts kinda dirty. Rolling deep with misfits, you know, like Will the Glera. Claims he's tough, but that ain't a real player. Beating on his kid, man, that's a red alert. No cap, no lie, dude, you need to revert.
Let's talk about the truth. Let's keep it real. Clara's got a history that's hard to conceal. Turtle Boy trolls with that fake account vibe. This is a community we gotta unite. This is a community we gotta unite.
Then there's Jimmy, aka Aunt Deb on the scene, instigating trouble, thinking he's a mean machine, dividing us up. Man, it's never gonna win. Can't keep the peace when you're all about sin. Jessica Machado throwing threats like confetti, kicking folks out. Yo, you ain't ready.
Let's talk about the truth. Let's keep it real. Clara's got a history that's hard to conceal. Turtle Boy trolls with that fake account vibe. This is a community we gotta unite. This is a community we gotta unite.
Turtle Boy, tell me what's the deal? Slanging fake news like it's part of the meal. Mental, physical threats, that ain't no game. Abusing women, man, that's a real shame. Real shame, real shame, real shame. Watch as the drama unfolds. It's not just gossip, it's harmful behavior that you can't just toss it. Burner accounts, a coward with a keyboard, but the real talk, that's where you ignored. Stand up, man, quit acting like a child. Time to heal, not divide, make the difference worthwhile. Now let's get real, it's time to change the narrative. Stand together, bring the positive imperative. Let's be a voice that speaks for the weak. United we rise. Broken cultures can't speak. Yeah.
Let's talk about the truth. Let's keep it real. Clara's got a history that's hard to conceal. Turtle Boy trolls with that fake account vibe. This is a community we gotta unite. This is a community we gotta unite.
Yo, it's time we rise and speak the truth. No more blind eye. We ain't shaming, we're claiming all the pain bottled inside.
Yeah. Are we shaming the man, not believing his cries, telling stories so raw like darkness in disguise? Alex stands bold, he's worn the scars on his chest, but the world just keeps on spinning, forgetting the rest. Riding on fumes, the haters all caught in a lie. Silencing survivors, can't believe what you deny. Turtle Boy in the shadows, poking fun at the brave, re-traumatizing souls like they're the ones ashamed.
Melanie Little, what's it gonna be? Bragging about your fortune made of misery. You supported Reagan Wolf and low down clothes while survivors bleed out, saying nobody knows.
Stand up, stand united. Rise against this force. We won't bow down to the shame. No remorse, no remorse. Break the silence. Let's amplify the scream, scream. Together we won't falter. United in this dream.
Ray from Dallas, dressed like a sheep in the herd. You prayed on Alex, man, let's spread the word. Supported by the wicked, you hiding your lies, but your dirty actions, yo, we exposed to the skies. Will the glare of Uncle Debbie, you're sick in the mind. Keep spreading the hatred, but we're leaving you behind. Jessica Machado, professing her hate for those standing strong, girl, you just suffocate.
Time to dismantle the game, take back the power. These abuses won't hide in the dark hour. United we stand to strengthen the crowd, calling out the predators, we're yelling it loud.
Stand united. Rise against this force. We won't bow down to the shame. No remorse, no remorse. Break the silence. Let's amplify the scream. Together we won't falter. United in this dream.
So let's gather the truth, hold tight to the flame. No more shame on survivors, we're rewriting the game. If you
stand with Alex, man, let your voice rise against Turtle Boy and the lies. Let's shatter the skies. We rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up. United, we're ready to fight, yeah, the end of the silence in the long night. Stand up, stand united, stand against this world, united in history.
There we are, man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Wednesday. Halfway through the week, hump day. What is going on? Tommy Longo just jumped in the chat. He said, "You never gave up." Nah, never did, man. 8 years strong, He was on the show back in 2018 talking bookmaking, yeah, we'll talk to Tommy soon. We'll have Tommy on. Tommy has some great history, some great stories. But Craig Price, man, I figured we talk a little bit about Craig Price today. I've been saying we were going to talk a little bit about Craig Price. Seeing that we were talking a little bit about what was going on with Eddie O'Brien and the situation Eddie's in, and some people ask, can somebody that age, be a killer? Can someone that age, do the things that these kids are accused of doing? But Craig Price lived. He committed his first murder. I think he was like 13 years old, if I'm not mistaken. The lady he killed only lived 2 houses away, and it was a crime that shook up the whole neighborhood, the whole state, really. Not only because of the violence, but because the age of the offender when he was finally caught. Well, before he was caught, 2 years had went by, from the time that he committed his first murder until the second murder, which was basically on the same block. No one imagined a child could be responsible for a crime like this, but the nightmare just did not stop there, because the second crime that changed everything, and now Craig Price is still out there, still running around free, still a young black man in Warwick. Like 1% of Warwick was black. I think you probably had the Craig Price family and Emerson Kilgore, and Emerson been on the show before. But yeah, two years later, Craig Price now 15 years old. And guess what? Craig Price struck again. Yes, there were a few. Craig Price struck again. This time taking the lives of a mother and her 2 young daughters, all of them neighbors. Everybody he took out, they were all neighbors. Everybody was neighbors. But the brutality of the crime scene at this second crime scene, because you have children involved now, it shook everybody, even the most seasoned investigator, the most experienced investigator got all rattled up over this, because it wasn't just the violence, it was the escalation, it was the intensity, it was the fact that this, when they finally caught up with Craig, this was a high school freshman committing these acts that even adult offenders really reach, so people were kind of like, holy shit, and especially where it all happened. The neighborhood it ended up happening in, Warwick. These things just didn't happen in Warwick. Warwick wasn't a place um that something crimes like this happen. It just I mean crime happens everywhere. Crime definitely does happen everywhere, but you just didn't really expect it. And after the second murder, police question him. He ends up confessing, no emotions while having some I think he was having clam cakes down Rocky Point. The cop brought him, wanted him to get comfortable. But the moment the state told everything it needed, I mean, this wasn't a typical juvenile case. This was something the system had probably never, I don't think, across the country. I don't think it's something any system has ever seen before. They didn't have laws on the book for stuff like this. I mean, so here's where the story gets even bigger than this big, huge giant, this psychopath, Craig Price. Because under Rhode Island law back then, juveniles could not be tried as adults for murder. It wasn't until a few years later, the super predator law, Eddie O'Brien, that was like 95, 96. And I think that's when around this case started getting around to court. But, they could not be tried as adults. Juveniles' records, they were sealed at 21. So no matter how serious the crime was, the maximum a juvenile sentence ended on their 21st birthday. So, Craig Price in this case, he was only sentenced as a juvenile to 5 years for killing what? 4 people. He was only sentenced 5 years. But the state at that time was like, oh, hell no. We cannot let this guy out in 5 years. Because Craig Price already said, when I get out, you're going to see, and he planned on, he even said, I'm going to do it again. So they knew they couldn't let this guy out in 5 years. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate it. If you're just joining us now, we're talking about Craig Price, America's youngest serial killer, committed his killing on the same street 2 years apart. He was 13 years old when he killed his first victim, and he bragged about it. And then he said when he got out, he was going to make history. And that statement right there lit a fire under the entire state. Off the record, a lot of people say the state, they closed the law books and they got dirty. The state did things to keep him incarcerated. He had an altercation at the training school where he said he was going to snuff a guard, over a cigarette. And I think they gave him 7 years for that. He had a situation in maximum security, over a mop bucket. And when the cop went to pull, the cop, Loggy, I think it was, went to pull the mop handle to him, Craig Price kind of pushed the mop handle and it busted the dude's whole face open, but so they gave him time for that. They also gave him 25 years. I think he was the first person ever for contempt of court to receive 25-year sentence under Judge DiIulio. Judge DiIulio was firm. He was tough. but there was a private group that ended up forming called Citizens Opposed to the Release of Craig Price back then. A group that was dedicated to keeping this guy in the joint. Lawmakers realized that the system had a massive hole in it. So what do they do? The state rewrites its laws so juveniles could be tried as adults for serious crimes. And now here's where the super predator law starts coming into play here. Let me get that thing. That box out right there is just a Cash App box. Let me get that out of there. I didn't realize cutting my face off, huh? But before I do that, give me a minute. We'll be right back. We're talking about Craig Price, the America's youngest serial killer. This is going to be crazy. Don't go nowhere.
Turtle boy, don't get scared now. Just drop the truth, lay it all down. Turtle boy, what's the word? Lose your job as a teacher, man, was it absurd? PDFs and papers all scattered on the floor. Heard you were a perv, coaching soccer, now you bored. Resigning the blogging, that's a laughable scene. Lana went over the evidence, truth's really clean. Cries Grove, tangled up in claims, dangling in the air. Hope you don't appeal, but the state ain't gonna care.
Short man, little dick syndrome, causing all the fuss. We don't wanna hear you say trigger to us. Why'd you really get fired from your job? Huh? Cause you're a fraud, then now no problem.
Perryman Motel, cash on demand, hourly rates available, that's the brand. Sewer Turtle and the Sewer Squad, can't we keep it real? This is your reminder, no chance to conceal. They whisper Turtle boy, living in the lies. Heart of the city, yo, it's all in their eyes.
Turtle boy, you claim to be something.
All right, we back. Someone said, oh my God, I love Turtle Boy. I said, well, you might not want to subscribe to this channel then. This might not be the place for you. Because we don't like Turtle Boy. We don't like him. I'll tell you what, it's getting real spicy between Turtle Boy and Jay Brill. But I'll tell you what, I know Jay Brill mentioned Ray from Dallas, he was talking about, putting on getting them boxing gloves out, but I would put a G note that Jay Brill would knock Ray from Dallas out in a boxing match. That young boy had serious problems. He needed some kind of help. Something caused him to slaughter his neighbors. Didn't he say he unalived them folks due to racism? Yes. Yeah. Yes, he did. Absolutely did. But Craig Price was a monster then. He's still a monster. He's up in Florida. He just got sentenced another 25 years for stabbing somebody. But yeah, and even psychologists back then warned that he would be a poor candidate, so what lawmakers did, they realized the system had a massive hole in it. And some people have said that the former Attorney General, James Pine, said that, they had to bend a few laws. You know what I mean? Is it right what they did to keep Craig Price in? But no. And that's something that I always said the guy was a friggin' savage and should never be let out, but I didn't agree that how I feel the state was trumping charges up to keep Craig Price in there, you know, forever. You know, even though I knew Craig Price is somebody that needs to be in prison forever. This is a sick man, you know. He was a mean, mean person, and I actually met Craig Price, and I'll tell you that story another time. But yeah, he was a mean son of a bitch, you know. Didn't like white boys much, you know. But the state ended up rewriting its laws, right? So juveniles could be tried as adults for serious crimes. But those changes couldn't be applied retroactively to Price, right? So Price was still doing his original 5 years. You know, so the question ended up becoming, how do you keep a dangerous person in a joint when the law says you have to let him out when he's 21? Well, you stop banging charges on him. Now, spoiler, Price did not get out at 21, not because of the people he unalived. The law couldn't touch those anymore. There was nothing they could do about that. But because he kept committing crimes while he was in juvenile training school, and then later when he went to the ACI, you know, assaults, they said, threats, violations, stabbings, every charge just added more and more time to Craig Price. Eventually, he was transferred out of Rhode Island altogether, you know, but Craig definitely continued his violence, you know, every prison he went to. And that gave the state, you know, what they needed to keep this dude in jail long after his 21st birthday. Matter of fact, Craig Price is still in jail. You know, case it forced Rhode Island to confront a terrifying reality. You know, sometimes it does commit adult crime, and the system was not ready. But what Craig did ended up changing state laws. It changed how juvenile offenders are handled, and we've seen that in the O'Brien situation. You know, because that happened to Eddie O'Brien. You know, Eddie O'Brien is on, you know, something similar. You know, hit that like button, and I hope everyone is subscribing. You know, but decades later, right? This case still raises, you know, a lot of the same questions. You know, what do we do when the unimaginable comes from a child, from a kid, from a young man? There are no easy answers to that, and as we see in the Eddie O'Brien case, but ignoring the question isn't really an option, right? It really is not an option. But if we look 1 year, I think it was about, yeah, 1 year. One second, my bad. You know, so 1 year after the the first unalive, and we're gonna get into all that. I'm just trying to put down a foundation. You know, the case got broke wide open, right? After the second murder. Was going around the clock, and investigators finally realized that the person that they were looking for wasn't some drifter that just wandered in, or wasn't some hot ass adult offender. They figured it was a teenager. It was a neighbor. They started keying in on Price, a kid living only 2 houses away. And the clue that cracked the case, it wasn't DNA, not even a confession. I mean, they got the confession. It wasn't a witness because nobody even seen the crime. It was a cut on his hand. Imagine that, a cut. Just one day after Craig Price killed the Heaton family, right? 2 Warwick detectives. I got that written down. Pendergrass, I had to look that up. And Mark Brandard or something like that. Mark, we'll call him Detective Mark. They were going through Buttonwoods, a neighborhood in Warwick, right? They spotted Craig Price, and now Craig Price, now he was familiar with the police, but not only they spotted Craig Price, they spotted something else, a fresh deep cut on his hand. Now they knew Craig only lived a couple houses away. Now Craig, right at this point, is like six foot change, big dude. So they say, hey, Craig, he tried to brush it off. He tells him he got drunk and cut himself breaking into a car. Right? What he did right there, because he said he cut himself committing a crime, bang, you gave them probable cause to bring you down to the station. But detectives, they weren't buying the cut on his hand. Now, the FBI got involved in this case because the two families they lived so close to each other on the same street. And they actually had their best profiler come in. And the profiler said, it's somebody local, someone familiar with the neighborhood, someone who likely lived nearby, and now someone that got injured on the attack. He had a cut on his hand, similar to Eddie O'Brien. Once detectives, the entire case began to unravel, man. Once they seen that, the things started to go. I mean, this would absolutely be the interrogation that broke this Craig Price case wide open, right? Craig, yeah, he definitely tried to hold his own. He denied involvement. He stuck to his original story. You know what? But there was too much evidence against Craig Price. It was stacking up. The cut on his hand, inconsistencies. And then eventually, after hours of questioning Craig Price, he just confessed. He was like, yeah, whatever. No emotion, the reports say. Absolutely. The dominoes began to fall. No emotion, nothing. He ended up confessing, that he was so like, whatever, no remorse. It just stunned the cops in the room because these are some gruesome killings. Like he hit each of the victims like 50 times. A 10-year-old girl, an 8-year-old girl. One of the most, the detectives were saying this was one of the most hardened killers that they ever came across through studying, to being a cop. He wasn't scared. He wasn't a panicking teenager. He knew exactly what he'd done, and Craig Price had no feelings. And because Craig Price was only 15 years old, and under law at the time, he can't be tried as an adult. He could not be sentenced as an adult. And he had to be released by his 21st birthday, no matter what he had done. So even though he just confessed to 4 horrible unalives, including 2 children, the law said that he had to go to Rhode Island State Training School until he was 21 years old. So, of course, they put him in the most secure wing they had at the training school, but everyone knew the truth. This wasn't enough for Craig Price. This wasn't enough for the community. 5 years for the victims' families. 5 years. People were outraged. 5 years. When his release date started to approach, oh man, everyone started getting nervous. The public, because they knew he was going to be 21 soon. The idea that a boy, who unalived 4 people and showed no friggin' remorse, was going to walk free at 21 years old, it was just unthinkable. Victims' families, cops, people in the community, everybody was like, what the? So they ended up putting this group together, citizens opposed to the release of Craig Price, right? And it was led by Assistant Attorney General Jeffrey Pine, Captain Kevin Collins, who supervised the investigation, the victim's mom, the victim's sister. It wasn't a political movement. They said it wasn't a media stunt. It was a way to keep a monster locked up indefinitely. They wanted to fight for their safety because they felt the law could not protect them from Craig Price. They didn't want to let Craig Price walk free. And they didn't stop, not for a while. But Craig Price became his own worst friggin' enemy. He didn't walk out of the juvenile system at 21. He didn't walk into freedom. But once he was inside the adult system, he kept committing more crimes, more assaults, fights, and the state just kept whacking up charges. They didn't care. Every new charge, more time, more time. And then eventually they said, we got to get this dude out of here. He just continued to get in violent fights. So they ended up transferring him to Florida. So when Craig Price got in trouble in Florida, Rhode Island said, oh yeah, they brought him back as a probation violator. It just didn't stop with Craig Price. I mean, it became like a national problem. The Craig Price case. They panicked everywhere. It influenced how other states handled violent juvenile offenders, including the Eddie O'Brien case in Massachusetts. I mean, Craig Price became a national warning sign, but did it have anything to do with how O'Reilly ended up, what happened in the Eddie O'Brien case? It makes you think, right? It's like, a lot of it is around the same time, a few years apart, but people were outraged. A violent juvenile offender who, under an old law, could walk out at 21 years old. The public was petrified. So in 1994, the federal government, right, passed what became known as the Craig Price Bill, which allowed judges to consider a juvenile criminal history when deciding whether they should be committed to a psychiatric facility. So now they're saying, all right, you know what? We'll just put him in the house. It wasn't just about Rhode Island, it was a nationwide push to get tougher on juvenile policies. The 1990s came around, the super predator era. This is the part that people forget. The 1990s, right? They were dominated by a fear of violent juvenile crimes that was just out of control. Politicians, the media, academics, they were warning about the so-called super predators. We heard Biden talk about it all the time, that dude. A term that is since, a lot of people are discrediting it. But at the time, look, you build them, they will come. The 90s, we got more people in prison than we have in colleges in America. But what that did, them super predator laws, it changed the way you were sentenced, public opinion, the way prosecutors made their decisions, and how communities ended up viewing a lot of these teenage offenders. And right now, you had Craig Price as the friggin' poster child for that fear. We're talking about, the crime happened like 80 something, 87 maybe. So now we're rolling around to the 90s. I mean, everybody is like, yo, they're petrified. Like, you got these kids, committing violent acts. I'll be right back. I'm still here. And it got me thinking, what about Eddie O'Brien? I mean, here's the key distinction, right? I can't say that the Craig Price case was directly used in court, or was it cited in the Eddie O'Brien transfer hearing? Was it cited at all in the Eddie O'Brien case? Did they use any case law? But what I can say, right, is the Eddie O'Brien case happened in 1995, 1 year after the Craig Price bill, one state away, and during the height of the national fear about violent juvenile offenders. Everybody was scared of the kids at that time. They were like, yo, these kids are like buck wild. Especially around New England. Everybody was shaken up by the Price murder. So while the two cases, they are separate, right? They existed in the same political climate, basically. The same public mood, the same era of all these crackdowns. Now, Massachusetts prosecutors, judges, and lawmakers, they were aware of the Craig Price case. I'm sure of it. I mean, it was national news. It wasn't just local news. And trying to waive juveniles as adults for serious crime was already something they were doing across the country. So I don't know for a fact that the Craig Price case did, have anything to do with the Eddie O'Brien case. but it was a question, you know. I was curious about it. It probably did shape the environment in which the O'Brien case unfolded, and it was definitely the right era to push for harsher juvenile policies. You know, when we look back at the 1990s, you know, I think we have to remember that a lot of these cases didn't happen in isolation. They happened in a moment, right, where they were rewriting its juvenile justice system in real time. I think they were being a little too strict. Craig Price was one of the catalysts. Eddie O'Brien was another catalyst that happened in the aftermath of this. And understanding the context, does it help us understand why the system responded the way it did? You know, now we have the foundation. We're going to let you know the story of Craig Price. You know, what was the story of Craig Price? You know, definitely one that shake, you know, 13 years old.
You know the story. It's heavy in the air. When a father turns to shadows, how could you even dare? Yo, Will Henry, you a sucker. Let's break it down. Claim you a man, but where's your crown? Put your hands up, kid. You taught him how to fight, but you ain't fighting right, man. This ain't no light. You grab your son, run off like a thief in the night. Where's the love? This ain't how you raise a child, right? Kicking your son out like he's just a game piece. How you claim to be a dad, forgetting his release. Will Henry, you a sucker. Can't you see the glare? Claiming blackmail in the myth. You think no one cares? Special needs child, you're running from the truth. But every word you spit just reveals your own you. Admitting the violence, it's hard for me to trust. Fighting your kid, nah, that's just unjust. 6'2", but he's still your son at the core. Raising fists over lessons, that ain't what you're for. Talk about forgiveness, but you let ego reign. Dragging things out like a puppet on a chain. You think you're tough, man, but underneath is weak. Claiming power with fists when it should be love you seek. Allegations swirling, made public and raw. Yet you try to justify and glaze over the flaw. Just look in the mirror, see the man you become. A name in the charts, but what's under that drum? Will Henry, you a sucker, got all eyes on you. Blackmail and violence. Yo, it's time we ride. Yeah. You know the story.
Yo, let's keep it real. It's a turtle tale. No detail too small. Yeah. Yeah, you thought it was cool playing those sides, right? Recording Karen, yeah, you lied and denied, man, what a sight. Double down on the mess like it's all a game. Talking big, selling out world, but don't it feel lame? Jokes about her parents thought it make you tough. She lost her home, that struggle is rough. You asked her to rock it with you, to hit the stage, but she turned it down, see who's stuck in the cage. Turtle, where's the hustle, where's the grind? Living on the couch, man, that's no way to unwind. Your case came along, put you on a path. While Karen stays real, you just do the math. Free Karen, we ain't stopping now. Shout out JFK, Kevy kept holding it down. Jay Brill with the beast, yeah, we spitting facts. Turtle's just a mirror showing all your tracks.
About Karen? How many clever ways can you call someone to see you next Tuesday?
Yeah, we spitting facts. Turtles just a mirror showing all your tracks. Karen ain't never treated you with hate or spite. Never shared your secrets, never dimmed your light. But you took them shots, throwing dirt in the game, putting her on blast like it's all just for fame. And let's talk about the couch, man. That's where you lay until the truth hit. Then you found your own way. She didn't mock you, nah. She was family, no lie. But you breaking that bond, bro, that's goodbye. Yeah. Turtle, listen up, it's time to rise. Living in the shadow, all those tired alibis. Karen's got a strength, yeah, she knows a place. While you hide behind the hate, can't keep up the pace. Free Karen Red, we ain't stopping now. Shout out JFK, kept holding it down. J Brill with the beats, yeah, we spitting facts. Turtle's just a mirror showing all your tracks. Free Karen Red, we ain't stopping now. Shout out JFK, kept holding it down. J Brill with the beats, yeah, we spitting facts. Turtle's just a mirror showing all your tracks. Keep it real podcast, that's what we speak, no lies. Supporting real people, see through all the guys. Karen's got a story and we're here to tell. It's more than just a game, it's your on your track, yeah. Keep it real podcast, that's where we speak.
Offended by that, but guess what? If you were offended by that, I fucking hate you anyway, and I don't want you watching my show. I don't care. You're not my kind of person. I don't like you. You're not fun, right? I don't want you over here. And normally, if I wasn't drama free, I'd really go off on you. But I'll just leave it at that. Like, I don't like you, and we weren't meant for each other. If you don't think that's funny, right? If you can't have a little joke with that, right? You're not my kind of people. Okay? You're not my kind of people. You know who can take that joke? Karen Reed can, because she's a tough mofo. She's been through a lot. She can take a joke. Okay? Not all you motherfuckers out here acting like you're offended by that. You guys can't take the joke, but she can, because she's tougher than you, right? You don't speak for her. She speaks for herself. Only Karen Reed speaks for Karen Reed. New rule. Thank you.
Yeah. Listen up, it's time to talk. No more hiding behind lies. Let's take a walk. Can't take much more, your bullshit gets old. You claim you're an award winner, but your heart's ice cold. Fraud and deception, that's your playbook, my dude. Stuffing ballot boxes, you're just stealing the mood. You're not a journalist, nah, you're just a blogger. Wanna be on top, but you're playing the wrong card here. Change the game, now you flip the script. More despicable every day, got your whole life flipped. Turtle boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth tells, cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. Turtle boy, you made this mess, you drown in your lies, only you to blame. It's reflected in your cries. Turtle boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. You made this mess, you drown in your lies, only you to blame. It's reflected in your cries. A baker broke and he stands tall. Ain't that the truth? Locked in the battle with the heart of gold. Got proof, Down syndrome. Never a reason to attack. You act like a coward hiding in your own whack. You call it journalism, but I see through your game. Pathetic little loser, you should be ashamed. Turn the mirror, see the monster that you grown. Can't wash the dirt, it's forever on your throne. Turtle boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. You made this mess, you drown in your lies, only you to blame. It's reflected in your cries. Turtle boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. You made this mess, you drown in your lies, only you to blame. It's reflected in your cries. Standing with Aiden, Kate the Will, no thanks. You're marching down a path where nobody gives thanks. Ray from Dallas and the McCall recruit too. Associate to mess with nothing good to pursue. Shirley Max, we heard the toughest cries, mama's pain, but you drowned them all out, left them lost in the rain. You created the shit you're sitting in now. The world ain't your playground, so take a bow. Can we keep it real? Let's break it down clear. You're not even close to the truth, you just disappear. So hold your breath, think about what you've done. Living in your fantasy, but you're weighing a ton. No applause for the fraud, no crown for the fool. This is from your boy, let the truth be the tool. We can't take much more, and neither should you. Time to face the truth, it's the least you can do. Shut it down, turtle boy, let the real ones rise. This the gritty anthem, no more disguise. Turtle boy,
this law goes back to the 90s. Actually, there's an old clip of Joe Biden. You know, if you look up Joe Biden's super predator law, he's the one that kind of came out with the catchphrase super predator. But but yeah, it was definitely based on race. You know, it definitely was. And that's why Eddie O'Brien kind of fit the script, being, you know, a white little Catholic boy. You know, oh, we got a chance to, you know, the super predator law. Yeah, we wanted to attack, you know, brown and black people. You know, that's what they wanted it for. And now we have this nice little pretty boy, Irish boy, and we can just make the evidence fit around Eddie O'Brien and convict him. Oh, he's Irish Catholic. Oh, this is great. We don't look like we're friggin' prejudiced assholes, you know, and we get a conviction because, you know, police can make the evidence fit around you. We seen that in the Karen Reed case. We seen that in a lot of cases, right, Tommy? They make the evidence fit the person. You know, that's all they do. But we're talking about the story of Craig Price, you know, America's, you know, youngest serial killer. You know, Craig Price committed, you know, a horrible, horrible crime, you know, back in the late 80s, and he was only sentenced to 5 years in prison. This was the second family that Craig Price had killed. The first lady, you know, thank God that her kids went to sleep over her ex-husband's house because she was packing, getting ready to move. And I believe her and Craig got into, or her boyfriend or something, and Craig got into an argument earlier, and Craig said they called him a racist slur, you know. So later that night, he said he wanted revenge. He creeped in the house, you know. We'll get into that. Oh, Turtle Boy don't know nothing about no damn journalism. You know what I mean? He's a booger. He gets up and asks his chat, what's going on? What's the news today? Yeah, it looks like he said he cut his lip, but that Paul's still out there, huh?
Yeah. Sorry.
He said he cut his lip, but you know, he might have a little bit of herpes simplex going on over there. You know? A little bit of herpes simplex shit. But yeah, Craig Price, you know, 1987, July 27th, which is very close, you know, 1995, Eddie O'Brien, I think it was the same week of July. I mean, go figure. And only one state over. I mean, we're only talking about Rhode Island. Good old Rhode Island. What do they say? Come to Rhode Island on vacation. You leave on probation. You come back on a violation. You know, but we're talking about Craig Price, you know, a teenager, a young kid. That's when he committed his first unalive, 13 years old. So we asked the question, you know, at 15, could Eddie O'Brien do something like that? Any 15-year-old is capable of doing something like that. But you see, Craig Price, he continued when he went to gladiator school, right? He continued to be a gladiator. Eddie O'Brien, he didn't have that. Like, that wasn't in his profile. They tried to say Eddie O'Brien was a psychopath, right? And in that type of environment with hostility all the time, it's easy to commit violence. Everybody wakes up bitter. Everybody's upset. Nobody wants to be there. People are disgusted. They didn't get their visit. They didn't get their store order. They didn't get the full 30 days working for their, dollar a day. Their court date didn't go right. They got denied parole. So inside the walls, the only thing they respect is the violence. Turtle Boy. They only respect the violence. And you can't be in there reporting shit. You can't speak what your eyes see. I'll let you know. We'll break it down for you, Turtle. But being inside, being incarcerated is just, it's gladiator. It's gladiator school, You're a humble man. But post up your compliments, folks. Need to see there's too many so-called content creators promoting themselves and being racist. Absolutely. Can't imagine living like that where the only thing you control is violence. Sucks. Absolutely. And that's why stay out of prison. And it's so easy because a lot of good people go to prison too. They just, lost control one night. Shit happened, man. Crimes of passion. You see some really good people that end up there, man. That's unfortunate. He's a good man. He just kind of made that one mistake, but that's all it takes, man. And then you get inside a place like that that's so evil and so cold. And the only thing they respect is the violence. You know, they watch your every move. Everybody watches your every move. And as soon as you leave, right, the sneak thieves, you know, they're watching because they're gonna run up in your cell, your house, and they're gonna take everything you own, and nobody sees anything. See, so you gotta like watch, keep your head on a swivel. You know what I mean? Like you always gotta stand on 10 toes. So that's why sometimes somebody from I think the inner city or they take things a lot personal. They're a lot faster to react because that's what they're used to. Like you always have to you don't want no one to think you're a punk, and that's how it is inside the prisons. And Craig Price continued to be a gladiator, and Eddie O'Brien didn't. He didn't have to do that, and the real recognize real also. There are also some humble people there as well. Yeah, go figure, but yeah, there are also some good people, and I really believe that when some good stand-up guys that were from Boston seen Eddie O'Brien come in, they know what's going on the street. People talk. I guarantee, and I wish somebody would ask Mr. O'Brien this. I guarantee they put their arm around Eddie. Took him under their wing. No homo. You know what I mean? Because they knew the vultures was going to scoop in on Eddie fast. So I really think some stand-up guys from Somerville, from Charlestown, heard about what was going on, and took Eddie under their wing, and made sure he walked the righteous path and he stayed out of trouble. But let's get into this POS child killer right here, Craig Price. You know, um, back in Warwick, back in 1987, he broke in two houses from his own neighborhood, right next to his house, and he killed 27-year-old Rebecca Spencer. And at the time, nobody imagined a kid could have done this. Nobody could imagine the danger was like coming right next door. And that was only the beginning. And then when you fast forward to 1989, now Craig Price is 15, right? He's in high school, big dude, like big dude. And on that night, he unalived three more neighbors. Three. A mother and her two young daughters. The brutality of this crime scene, they said, was so crazy. The investigators struggled to process it. They couldn't believe what they were looking at. They could not believe the monster that could have done this. The public didn't really know the full details. Price got to have his records sealed. But later on, the detectives would say they never seen anything like this in textbook or in real life. And then Price ends up confessing. No hesitation, no remorse, like nothing. Like, pass the ketchup. Yeah, I did it. You know, and just what broke the case was the cut on his hand. You know, he wanted to say, oh, yeah, I tried breaking into a car. You know, the FBI had profilers on it. They already knew it was somebody from the neighborhood, somebody familiar with the neighborhood, and they think someone injured themselves doing it. But because dude was under 18, right? Rhode Island law said he can't be tried as an adult. He could not be sentenced as an adult. And he had to be released by his 21st birthday, no matter what he done. He could have murdered 19 people. No adult trial, mandatory release at 21. And the law was like, hell no. And the law bent their shit to make sure Craig Price was not getting out at 21. Charge after charge after charge. He talked shit to a guy. Up, you said you're gonna snuff me? Assault, 7 years. Oh, you don't want to go for psychiatric, his lawyer told him, don't go for them exams. He said, all right. Oh, you don't want to go? Well, that's a violation of your probation. That's contempt of court. 25 years. Look it up. Research it. We talk facts. I was actually reading it. It's somewhere. And then you have the citizen group, I mean, Craig Price, he wasn't just a Rhode Island case. He was a turning point in juvenile crimes being waved over as adults. What he did was expose a system that wasn't prepared. Imagine that, like the brutality of how these people, died is crazy. I'm looking for something right now, actually. He was 13 when he broke into the first lady's house. Rebecca Spencer. He said, I wasn't looking to steal anything, He was angry. He wanted to take the anger out on someone that couldn't fight back, right? So they said he climbed in the window. He ends up grabbing a knife from Rebecca's kitchen, right? He quietly moved through the house. I even think he took his sneakers off. When he finds her alone, 58 times. That's the number of times he stuck her. That should be everything you need to know about what Craig Price was capable of. This lady never had a chance. No struggle. No time to call for help. She was sleeping, never even seen it coming. Who would have thought it was a teenager? A polite teenager. There was no connection between Rebecca and the Price family. They didn't know. And then 2 years go by. Rebecca's case is, they don't, Warwick police don't know what they're friggin' doing. They figured, oh, this was a one-time deal. But Craig, shit, he's bigger now, more confident, and holding on to everything. He was never able to say out loud, man. He liked that thrill. So what did he do at 15 years old? He walks out of his house. They shared a yard with a house next door. And who lived next door? Joan Heaton. Joan Heaton didn't live there alone, though. Joan Heaton lived there with her two daughters. Jennifer, who was 10, and Melissa, I believe, was 7. This is horrible. And Melissa was 7. They thought they were safe living in Warwick, Rhode Island, a little suburban area, all homeowners. I think Craig had other plans. And Craig knew, shit, I got away with it once before. That was easy. So now he cuts the screen, opens the window, climbs into the Heaton's home, right? And he goes straight for the kitchen. And later on, there'll be some tapes. I think he said he might have used like 5 different knives. That same day, the police find out through receipts that she had just bought a brand new set of knives. Who would have known? Hours earlier, she was buying the knives that was going to end her life. Imagine that. Craig Price grabs one of them knives and he got right to work. Of course, he's going to take out the biggest first, right? He goes right for the mom. The only adult in the house. And she could have probably been, out of the 3, the only one that could stop Craig Price. Craig stabbed her 57 times. That attack was so ferocious and relentless. Horrible. But see, unlike Rebecca Spencer, Joan wasn't alone. See, Rebecca asked her ex-husband to take her kids earlier that day. So they went over with the dad. But Joan, she had her two babies with her. She had her two precious children, 10 and 7 years old. Jennifer was 10 and Melissa was 7. So now he has Melissa. Now they both watched what happened to their mother. And now Craig starts walking towards Melissa. He didn't rush. He stabbed the little 10-year-old 37 times and then beat her until her skull fractured. Oh, he wasn't done. He didn't leave quietly. He stabbed all three with such force that the knife handles snapped off. The blade stayed in the little girl's body, stuck in her shoulder bone. And no, it was lodged in Jennifer's neck when the police got there. People were sick. Police were disgusted. They'd never seen anything like it. The town of Warwick just stopped ice cold. People didn't even want to send their kids to school. They're putting extra locks on their door like someone's killing people. Two people on the same street. Hello, officer, you don't see something here? Police, they end up going door to door trying to track down somebody who had crossed the line, maybe that they didn't know exists. Craig was right there watching it all go down. Never even left the friggin' neighborhood. What do y'all think about this? This is pretty crazy, huh? Craig Price, pretty sick individual. You know, definitely a sick individual, Craig Price was. We ain't done. We not done. You know, definitely, hit the like button, subscribe, appreciate it. If you're over there on Twitter, come over to YouTube. Stories like this, they should be retold, right? It's crazy because while the police are investigating, Craig Price is right there watching everything. Just chilling. Were the police paying any attention to him? By that point, they were saying, Craig had a short but active police record, break-ins. But I think maybe it made the investigators wonder if someone who could sneak into houses might be capable of something like this. Craig was a big boy. But with two murdered children now, right? And a mother found brutally attacked, they couldn't pass on anything now, especially on the same damn street. So they go to the Price house and they want to speak to everybody. The rest of the family, everybody cleared. They all had alibis. I think his father worked at Pepsi. I forgot what the mom did. Nothing was out of place except for Craig, it was saying, They said he also had a deep cut on one of his fingers. He didn't have a good explanation. But whoever killed the Heaton, they bled in the house, so they left behind their own blood at the scene. And they also left behind a sock print. Remember, I said he took his shoes off? And he had a size 13, big 6-foot dude. Of course he did. So now the investigators, I think, are starting to put it together. They're finding pieces of the knife used in the Heaton's murder, not blocks of evidence, right? Not theories, but physical evidence hidden where? In Craig's backyard, right in his shed. So right before Craig Price is about to turn 16 years old, Mom is crying. Why, son? Craig didn't even try to deny anything. He admitted to everything, to killing Joan Heaton. He admitted to killing Jennifer and Melissa. And then he confessed to Rebecca Spencer, too. Craig was all done hiding. His mind game was over. But he's under 18. He can't be tried as an adult. Not like Eddie O'Brien. This happened right before. This is the reason why Eddie O'Brien probably got screwed. All the state could really do was sentence him to training school till he was 21 years old for that brutal ass shit. And on his 21st birthday, after that, he would be free to walk. And the state couldn't let that happen. And they didn't let that happen. Over the years after that, Craig would go on, to have fight with the law. He told people he was going to make history once he got out. And was it a theory? He said it out loud. The idea that somebody could unalive 4 people like that before they're 16 years old, 15. He started at 13 and then get released before 21 years old. What do you think was going to happen? Of course, his case kicked off a wave of legal reform you ain't never seen coast to coast. Lawmakers were jumping to make sure minors could be tried as an adults for violent crimes. They wasn't even playing with these young jacks. But it didn't matter to Craig because the laws didn't apply to him. You gotta let me out, Jack, when I'm 21. And Jeffrey Pine was like, hell no. We gonna figure this out. And they did. They closed the loopholes. They made sure Craig sat in juvenile lockup. And the minute he told that guy, I'll snuff you. Oh, there's 7 years, boy. ACI gets into it with another cop. Bang, more time. Every time he had a violent outburst, more time. At one point, his earliest shot at parole was like 2009. But right before his parole hearing, he gets into a fight with another inmate. And what's he do? He sliced the dude with a makeshift weapon. And he injures a CO in the process. There you go. There goes your damn parole. So now they transfer him to a different prison. Then in 2017, the dude does it again. Another inmate, another slicing. This time, the court whacks him with another 25. And with every year that goes by, this dude's freedom just slips farther out of reach. I mean, I got to give it to you, Craig Price. You did make history, though. You do hold the record for being the youngest known serial killer in the United States. I mean, if there is any justice at all, that record will stay yours. We don't need nobody younger than you. You know? Yeah, what Craig Price did was you know, he was definitely a menace. I mean, 50 times, you know, yeah, you know, 50 times, you know, 58 times. You know, so yeah, absolutely damn shame, you know, but yeah, Craig Price definitely no joke. You know, yeah, he was 13 when he committed the first one. Yeah, but that super predator, you know, it definitely did change how juvenile law was. You know, and it looks like Craig Price, you know, the law was just changed right before Eddie O'Brien, you know, so who knows, you know, maybe Eddie, too bad I didn't catch that law. You know, get out when you're 21, you know, that's how the law was for a long time. That's how the law was for a very long time. All right, give me a minute. We'll be right back. I'm looking for a video clip.
Yo, let's keep it real. It's a turtle tail. No detail too small.
Yo, turtle boy, don't get scared now. Just drop the truth, lay it all down. Turtle boy, what's the word? Lose your job as a teacher, man, was it absurd? PDFs and papers all scattered on the floor. Heard you were a perv, coaching soccer, now you bored. Resigning the blogging, that's a laughable scene. Lana went over the evidence, truth's really clean. Cries Grove, tangled up in claims, dangling in the air. Hope he don't appeal, but the state ain't gonna care.
Short man, little dick syndrome, causing all the fuss. We don't wanna hear you say trigger to us. Why'd you really get fired from your job? Huh? Cause you're a fraud, then now no problem.
Perryman Motel, cash on demand, hourly rates available, that's the brand. Sewer turtle and the sewer squad, can't we keep it real? This is your reminder, no chance to conceal. They whisper turtle boy, living in the lies. Heart of the city, yo, it's all in their eyes.
Turtle boy, you claim to be something you're not. But deception's the game, man, taking shots at the plot. Caught in the web of your own fake ideals. Guess you thought your charm could seal all the deals. Turtle boy, what's your name? Trying to hide behind nostalgia, but it's all so lame. I see you living in the shadows of your past fights. This is for you, written down on sleepless nights.
Keep it real, don't act like you're the kingpin. Frauds don't last long, better off in the bin. So turtle boy, remember where you once were. From teaching kids to heavy blog posts, that's the blur.
So turtle boy, don't get scared of the truth laid bare.
Turtle boy, don't get scared now.
We back. Craig Price. Real freaking winner there. Here we go. Confessions. Somebody a few years later mailed in a confession tape, to the news, like I think it was.
Investigators exclusive, the Craig Price confession.
They're chilling, never before heard recordings. Notorious serial killer Craig Price detailing to detectives how he murdered a family of 3 in his Warwick neighborhood.
All right, so you put the clothes in the attic, you put the knives in the shed. What else do you do?
Live with guilt till I get caught.
Target 12 has been reporting on Craig Price for years, and our investigations have already led to more prison time for Price.
And now we're bringing these tapes to light for the first time as Price may be set free in just 1 year, and prosecutors are looking to keep him behind bars.
A warning to our viewers, some of you may find the audio disturbing. Target 12 investigator Tim White is here now with the exclusive details.
The confession took place on September 17th, 1989, inside the Warwick Police Department. Questioning Craig Price are detectives Tim Colgan and Kevin Collins. Also there, Price's mother, listening as her 15-year-old son calmly recalls how he murdered a mother and her 2 children. The tape begins with Warwick Police Detective Tim Colgan reading Craig Price his rights.
If you do talk to us, you can stop at any time. Do you understand those rights, Craig?
2 weeks earlier, the bodies of 39-year-old Joan Heaton and her 2 children, 10-year-old Jennifer and 8-year-old Melissa, were discovered inside their home, stabbed to death.
Craig, I want you in your own words at this time to tell me as clearly and as best you can what occurred there.
Price told detectives he snuck through an open window in the Heaton's home in the dead of night. At the time, he claims he was there looking to steal a VCR, but detectives didn't buy it, noting he went into the house with a small knife. Price says Joan Heaton awoke and spotted Price in the kitchen.
Yeah, and then things just got hectic after that.
What did she say when she saw you, Craig?
She didn't say anything. She was just like trying to, like, as soon as she seen, like run the other way, break the other way.
Okay.
And I grabbed her. What happened then? So I was just like trying to kill her.
In the chaos, Price says Heaton's 2 girls woke up.
Do you remember one of the girls trying to get to the phone? I don't know. She said, "Get to the phone, get to the phone." She was just saying that, "Get to the phone." She didn't say the name, but she said.
Do you remember one of the girls trying to get to the phone?
No, she was just standing at the side of the wall. And I was running back to the window, back and forth to see if the police were coming or something like that.
If you can remember, how many knives did you use?
I don't know, a lot. About 6, I think, maybe.
Okay.
Price tells detectives Mom fought back.
Okay, she bit me. You can see a mark right there. She bit me there and I bit her back.
You've obviously heard the confession tape.
Oh, yeah.
What stood out to you about it?
Just his demeanor. I mean, they say lack of remorse. He's nowhere near remorseful, this guy.
Retired Warwick detective Ken Anderson went into the Heaton's house that first day and later was one of the officers who took Price into custody.
And he's talking like he killed these people like it was nothing. I mean, like absolutely nothing. It's incredible.
Because Price was a juvenile, state law at the time meant he could be set free when he turned 21. The law has since been rewritten, but Price has remained behind bars because of a series of violent clashes he has had as an inmate. Now in Florida, Price is awaiting trial for allegedly attempting to murder another prisoner with a homemade knife. If acquitted, his projected release date is November of next year. Why is it important for recordings like this to see the light of day this many years later, do you think?
People have to know, just because he was 15 at the time, he wasn't just some poor little innocent kid that went astray. He killed 4 people. 1, and then 2 years later, 3 more, and 2 of them were children.
Whenever Price's sentence in Florida ends, the Rhode Island Attorney General's office has already asked the courts here to keep Price locked up as a probation violator for his prison antics. A judge will ultimately decide.
Never let this go. Never let this go.
When Anderson and other detectives were in the house that awful day in 1989, they found the killer had covered the victims, Joan Heaton, in a blanket.
Okay, you covered the mother. Do you remember what you covered the other children with?
The rug. The rug.
Okay. All right.
Why did you cover him? Because I didn't want to look at that.
While Price claims he felt guilty after the murders, he also tried to mislead investigators in that interview. Here's how. He was instantly a prime suspect in the murder of 27-year-old Becky Spencer from 2 years before. New at 6, hear what Price tells detectives when he is asked about that killing. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.
Now, a Target 12 investigators exclusive, the Craig Price confession.
At 5, we brought you the never-before-heard confession tape of notorious serial killer Craig Price. Only 15 years old, Price admitted to detectives he killed a Warwick mother and her 2 young children.
What did she say to you when she saw you, Craig?
She didn't say anything. She was just like trying to, like, as soon as she seen, like run the other way, break the other way.
New at 6, it was that same interrogation. Price lied to investigators about another murder he later admitted to.
And a warning to our viewers, some of you may find the audio disturbing. Target 12 investigator Tim White is here now with the exclusive details.
It's hard to imagine, but Price could be set free November of next year. Prosecutors here and in Florida are working to keep him behind bars. That's why, as one retired detective tells me, it's crucial to keep a spotlight on this case. Here inside the second floor of the Warwick Police Department on September 17th, 1989, detectives Tim Colgan and Kevin Collins hit record on the cassette deck and read 15-year-old Craig Price his rights.
But if you give up the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
With his mother in the room, Price detailed how he viciously stabbed 39-year-old Joan Heaton and her 2 children, 10-year-old Jennifer and 8-year-old Melissa, to death.
So then I was like, oh, what the hell? I ran to like the kitchen. On top of the refrigerator was a knife. And I just killed them.
Price then tells the detectives how the girls woke up and his killing spree continued.
Then what did you do?
Grabbed all the knives and anything that I could see, and then put them in a towel, then in the bag.
Did you get the towel in the bag from inside the house?
Yeah, in the bathroom.
Okay.
And then I just put everything in the bag. I even got the garbage bag out of the bathroom. When you found that bag, did you find all Dixie cups and everything in it?
I think they did.
Yeah, that was from their house.
Price claimed he was originally there to steal stuff, but detectives, including Ken Anderson,
I think he was there to kill.
didn't buy it.
We truly believe, a lot of us truly believe, that he was a peeping Tom, loved to look in people's windows.
An injury to Price's hand was ultimately his downfall because it linked him to the crime.
How did you hurt your hand?
When I was stabbing, I guess I got careless or something. I stabbed my own finger.
Okay.
Price.
He said, "You find any Dixie cups in that bag?"
Was then briefly questioned about the unsolved murder of Becky Spencer. The 27-year-old was stabbed 58 times 2 years earlier in the same Buttonwood section of Warwick. Listen, as Price claims he knew he was going to get arrested for the Heaton murders, but then quickly denies his role in Spencer's death.
Glad I got caught for it.
Oh, yeah? If you hurt Becky Spencer, would you want to be caught for that?
Yeah, if I did, but I didn't. You'll see when you hear post that.
He knew he had him for the Heaton murders. Obviously, we had everything we needed. But he probably assumed, and he was right, we didn't have anything. Becky Spencer.
But later that same day, under questioning by Detective Sergeant Dave Hornoff, he confessed to the Spencer murder too.
Okay. This interview's ended September 17th, 12:40.
Price is scheduled to go to trial next month in Florida for allegedly attempting to murder a fellow inmate with a homemade knife. But if he's acquitted, it will be up to Rhode Island prosecutors to get him held as a probation violator, or the 45-year-old could be a free man late next year. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.
New developments and a Target 12 investigators exclusive. Craig Price, a matter of time.
Prison officials have increased the notorious murderer's prison time in the wake of our report that revealed Price never lost any good credit despite stabbing a prison guard. Our stunning findings sparked another look at Price's record behind bars.
And prompted the Department of Correction to take action. Target 12 investigator Tim White has the latest developments.
Our findings launched an internal review of Craig Price's prison record. In the end, his sentence was increased by only 40 days. Prison officials say that's because legally, their hands are tied. Most remember the horrifying crimes committed by Craig Price, slaying 27-year-old Rebecca Spencer in 1987, then 2 years later, stabbing Joan Heaton and her two daughters, Jennifer and Melissa, to death. But what many likely didn't know, Price was quietly shaving years off his sentence thanks to the state's good time law.
Craig Price is a vicious killer.
Not even Carl Batty, the brother of Rebecca Spencer, knew this was happening.
Were you aware of how much good time he had earned all this time?
No.
Were you aware he could even earn it?
No. That's the first I heard of it.
As Target 12 first reported, Price has reduced his sentence by 1,519 days, or more than 4 years. Yet our review of prison records show Price has been involved in 41 infractions while behind bars in Rhode Island and Florida, where he is currently imprisoned.
I think it's ridiculous. How do you get good time if you can't keep out of trouble and, prison? I mean, where's the good time?
Even more shocking, we discovered Price was never docked any of that good time when he stabbed a Florida correctional officer in the hand with a homemade weapon during a scuffle with another inmate in 2009.
What do you say to them?
When Target 12 first brought our findings to Rhode Island prison officials, we were told Florida never asked to have Price's good time impacted.
If we are going to send an inmate to another state because that inmate is problematic, then we rely on that state's professional judgment.
But records show otherwise. This court document obtained by Target 12 clearly spells out Florida recommended Price lose a year's worth of good time as punishment. In the wake of Target 12's report, the Department of Corrections launched a review of Price's sentence. In a statement, a prison spokesperson now says they reviewed the good behavior statute and Price had a total of 40 days added back onto his sentence term. Why only 40 days? Prison officials say by law they can only take away good time he's already earned. It's complicated, but Price is serving a patchwork of sentences, not for the murders, but for various crimes he committed while behind bars. At the time of the 2009 prison stabbing, Price had just started serving a 7-year sentence for criminal.
So basically, right, if you don't have the good time accumulated, they can't take it from you. Say you're doing 20 years and you're getting 10 days a month good time. Right. So out of that 10 years, you're getting all these days. Right. So you get in trouble, but you only have 3 days accumulated. They can't take the amount of days that they want to take from you because you don't have it to take. They can only take the 3 days that you have accumulated. That's how the good time law works. They used to give it to you all at once. When you come in doing a 10-year bid, they'll say, okay, you got 18 months good time, here you go. And right away, your flat date, comes down. But inmates challenge that law. There's a lot of inmates that go to court and, they don't always come out on the right side, but they challenge that law and the state said, oh my God, yeah, we're making a mistake. We're not supposed to give you all the good time at once. We only got to give it to you as you earn it. So if you don't have it to lose, they can't take it. So score one for the bad guys.
Contempt, according to prison officials. So they say he hadn't earned a lot of good time for that sentence. So when does he get out? As of now, he could taste freedom in the spring of 2021, according to the Department of Corrections.
But that date is extremely fluid. Price can earn more good time or lose it depending on his behavior. Now, the Attorney General's office is also trying to increase his sentence, claiming he's a probation violator. That case.
NBC 10 I-Team exclusive. A notorious killer is at it again, threatening prison guards and boasting about the murders he committed decades ago. Craig Price killed 4 of his neighbors in Warwick in the late 1980s, including 2 children.
Well, that's when he was just a teenager. He's been locked up ever since. And bad behavior keeps adding more time. Now he's in trouble again.
And I-Team reporter Parker Gavigan is live in the studio now with what he found out. Parker?
Hi, Patrice. Well, we've learned Price recently spit on a prison guard, and officers claim he made death threats, bringing us up to the vicious murders he confessed to years ago. It's all spelled out in this report that the I-Team recently discovered, and you can bet Rhode Island prosecutors were watching.
I'm going to kill every officer I can get my hands on, just like I killed those little kids. New chilling threats from serial killer Craig Price just months ago.
Get me out of state. That's what I wanted to do.
Now 41, Price has been behind bars for 26 years.
When you get out, get off my yo, that's what you can do. Get off my
In 1989, he was only 15, but bulky and 280 pounds when confessing to 4 murders in his Warwick neighborhood. Joan Heaton and her 2 daughters for 26 years.
When you get out, get off my yo, that's what you can do. Get off my
In 1989, he was only 15, but bulky and 280 pounds when confessing to 4 murders in his Warwick neighborhood. Joan Heaton and her 2 daughters, 10-year-old Jennifer and 8-year-old Melissa, were savagely killed with kitchen knives in their Buttonwood home. Jennifer was stabbed 62 times. He was less than remorseful, later admitting to the murder of neighbor Rebecca Spencer 2 years earlier when Price was only 13. And because Price was so young when he committed his crimes, he was free to be released on his 21st birthday. But Craig Price's time behind bars hasn't gone smoothly. Outrage erupted when this video surfaced of him in the state training school, the juvenile lockup, rapping about killing a cop. Price was shipped to Florida in 2004. Like many high-profile inmates, Rhode Island prosecutors have used Price's violent outbursts to their advantage. Each time he gets into trouble, he violates probation, and extra time is tacked onto his sentence. He was denied parole last month, just months after this latest tirade. The NBC 10 I-Team got a hold of a December report from the Florida Department of Corrections. A correctional officer says Price spit on him and made multiple threats, saying, quote, "I'm going to kill every officer I can get my hands on, just like I killed those little kids."
So what does this all mean for Price's release date? Well, that's unclear. A spokesperson for the Attorney General says the latest 2 incidents involving Price have not been heard before the court. He finishes his Rhode Island sentence in 2018, but then faces 2.5 years for a separate assault on a Florida prison guard. So that's 2020 at the earliest. Live in the studio tonight, I'm I-Team reporter Parker Gavigan, NBC 10 News.
Thank you, Parker. If you have a tip for our I-Team, call 401.
There you have it, Craig Price. Yeah, 10 days, maybe 12 and a half. It's yeah, some states are probably different, I know what they do over here is like if you're working, you get like 3 days. If you stay out of trouble, you get 3 days. You got a job. I mean, yeah, you're working, but you can only get so many, no more than like 10 days a month. But stay out of jail. You don't have to worry about good time. you know, but that's the Craig Price story. You know, appreciate everybody trying to get them watch hours up, you know. Definitely, you know, sub up, appreciate it. I hope I, you know, gave you a good one, you know, but that's basically Craig Price, the youngest serial killer, you know, and you see when they changed that law, Craig Price, of course, it affected Eddie O'Brien, you know, absolutely. You know, absolutely affected Eddie. You know, but thank you everybody. We out of here.
We living in a storm. You feel the heat. Cease and desist, the letters drop on the concrete. Yeah. How many times they served them, count the notes again. Opponent can't say hi, yeah, we know the names cause they tend to pull that paper quick. It's a game they play. Palazzo, Murray, Braga, lawsuit on the way. Lawyer up cause the guilty got the shadiest moves. Hiding behind they titles while they take off they shoes.
Cease and desist, coming down like a fist. Teachers preaching right, but man, they don't get it. Keep it real on the podcast, we point the light. Show the world the truth, ain't no hiding from sight. Yo, Billy, don't you have some makeup to put on? Head into the shower room, but where's the truth gone? Anna Maria, what a tale to throw around. Social media buzzing, watch the drama resound. Sleeping around campus, are you set to teach? What example you setting your message out of reach? Man, teachers doing wrong, they get them on replay. Billy's game is so weak, send her back to the play. Predatory instincts, what's the lesson to learn? You think the tables turn when it's your turn to burn. Cease and desist, coming down like a fist. Teachers preaching right, but man, they don't get it. Keep it real on the podcast, we pouring the light. Show the world the truth, ain't no hiding from sight. Yo, cease and desist, coming down like a fist. Teachers preaching right, but man, they don't get it. Keep it real on the podcast, we pouring the light. Show the world the truth, ain't no hiding from sight.
Yo, special man with a word like restraining orders. One for his own daughter, ain't doing this supporters. Another level low, where morals just drift. Parenting's a skill, man, you missed that gift. It's a cycle of hurt, but he don't even see the damage that he does when you lack empathy.
Teachers should uplift, nurture and inspire, but we see the shadows and they rise ever higher. Look closely, don't ignore the cries of the youth. We gotta stand together, gotta fight for the truth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cease and desist, echo through the halls they roam, but the truth won't be silenced from the kids finding home. It's a call to be better, let the past fall away. Pawn again, say hi, let them know we're here to stay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yo, we living in a storm.
Yeah. Turtle boy. Oh, turtle boy, don't get scared now. You know the streets talk, let's break it down. Yeah.
Turtle boy lost his job, he was a teacher, you see. But did the classroom walls hear him laugh more than he should be? He was a PDF, typed up facts, but life hit hard like a truck on tracks. Heard you was a creep, soccer coach with a scheme, kicking kids round. Man, that's a hell of a dream. Resigned to blogging, bro, that's just laughable. Line of found the papers, evidence quite untraceable. Richmond's got a chance, hope he don't appeal. Corrupt decisions heavyweight, can't make it light as a meal. You got dirt on you, hope you ready for the heat. In the state they go to trial, feel your defeat.
Yo, they only respect the violence, that's how it goes.
Yeah, they only respect the violence. That's how it goes. Yeah. Cut you on the phone, man, that's how they roll. Real ones moving silent, never let it be told. If you don't walk like a gangster, better check your stride. The test your metal quick, won't let it slide. Talking slick, better watch for the knife. Cause if you a rap, think it's cool, nah, that's not life. Young ones lurking, face got ripped up, it's karma. Toughest one you know when tears call in for mama. Heart's cold when life's given by your honor. Means your ticket's marked in a little ass cell, yeah. In this game, respect is violence. Watch your step on this route, cats doing life for a
a little ass sale, there's no doubt. Super Bowl, counting in max, years gold, time and slow. Rule number one, choose your commerce, let the real one show. In this game, respected violence, watch your step on this route. Cats doing life for a little ass sale, there's no doubt. Super Bowl, counting in max, years gold, time and slow. Rule number one, choose your commerce, let the real one show. Punks wanna turn you out, sneak thieves out to learn. Watch your moves close, cause they'll be quick to burn. Playing your exit smartly, take everything you got. CEOs wanna test your nerves, didn't let it rot. They were chumps in high school, trying to be tough now. It's survival of the fittest, you get lost in the crowd. That dude you call friend might flip like a switch. Check his file, man, before you let him in your pitch. You feel me? Got the shadows lurking at your back. Trust is a luxury in this life full of cracks. Find out now, cause later's a dangerous phase. In this concrete jungle, it's amazing array. In these games, it's fine. Watch your step on this route. Cats doing life for a little ass sale, there's no doubt. Super Bowl, counting in max, years gold, time or slow. Rule number one, choose your comrades, let the real one show. In this game, respect the violence, watch your step on this route. Cats doing life for a little ass sale, there's no doubt. Super Bowl, counting in max, years gold, time or slow. Rule number one, choose your comrades, let the real one show. Yo, Turtle Boy, don't get scared now. Just drop the truth, lay it all down. Turtle boy, what's the word? Lose your job as a teacher, man, was it absurd? PDFs and papers all scattered on the floor. Heard you were a perv, coaching soccer, now you bored. Resigning the blogging, that's a laughable scene. Lana went over the evidence, truth's really clean. Cries Grove, tangled up in claims, dangling in the air. Hope you don't appeal, but the state ain't gonna care. Sure, man, little dick syndrome, causing all the fuss. We don't wanna hear you say trigger to us. Why'd you really get fired from your job? Huh? Cause you're a fraud, then now no problem. Everyman Motel, cash on demand, hourly rates available, that's the brand. Sewer Turtle and the Sewer Squad, can't we keep it real? This is your reminder, no chance to conceal. They whisper Turtle Boy, living in the lies. Heart of the city, yo, it's all in their eyes.
Turtle Boy, you claim to be something you're not. But deception's the game, man, taking shots at the plot. Caught in the web of your own fake ideals. Guess you thought your charm could seal all the deals. Turtle boy, what's your name? Trying to hide behind nostalgia, but it's all so lame. I see you living in the shadows of your past fights. This is for you, written down on sleepless nights.
Keep it real, don't act like you're the kingpin. Frauds don't last long, better off in the bin. So Turtle Boy, remember where you once were. From teaching kids to heavy blog posts, that's the blur.
So Turtle Boy, don't get scared of the truth, lay bare. Face the music, hit your knees, breathe in the air.
Yeah, listen up, it's time to talk. No more hiding behind lies. Let's take a walk.
Yeah, hold on. Can't take much more, your bullshit gets old. You claim you're in the war, whenever your heart's ice cold. Fraud and deception, that's your playbook, my dude. Stuffing ballot boxes, you're just stealing the mood. You're not a journalist, nah, you're just a blogger. Wanna be on top, but you're playing the wrong card. Here to change the game, nah, you flip the script. More despicable every day, got your whole life flipped. Turtle Boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. You made this mess, you drown in your lies. Only you to blame, it's reflected in your cries. It's reflected in your cries.
Yeah. Listen up, it's time to talk. No more hiding behind lies. Let's take a walk.
Can't take much more, your bullshit gets old. You claim you're an award winner, but your heart's ice cold. Fraud and deception, that's your playbook, my dude. Stuffing ballot boxes, you're just stealing the mood. You're not a journalist, nah, you're just a blogger. Wanna be on top, but you're playing the wrong card here. Change the game, now you flip the script. More despicable every day, got your whole life flipped.
Turtle Boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. Turtle Boy, you made this mess, you drown in your lies. Only you to blame, it's reflected in your cries. Turtle Boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. You made this mess, you drown in your lies. Only you to blame, it's reflected in your cries.
That baker broke and he stands tall. Ain't that the truth? Locked in the battle with the heart of gold. Got proof, Down syndrome, never a reason to attack. You act like a
coward hiding in your own whack. You call it journalism, but I see through your game. Pathetic little loser, you should be ashamed. Turn the mirror, see the monster that you grown. Can't wash the dirt, it's forever on your throne.
Turtle boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. You made this mess, you drown in your lies. Only you to blame, it's reflected in your cries. Turtle boy, we see through the mask you wear. Truth cutting deep like a knife, it ain't fair. You made this mess, you drown in your lies. Only you to blame, it's reflected in your cries.
Standing with Aiden, Kate the will, no thanks. You're marching down a path where nobody gives thanks. Ray from Dallas into McHale, recruit too. Associate to mess with nothing good to pursue. Shirley Max, we heard the toughest cries, mama's pain, but you drowned them all out, left them lost in the rain.
You created the shit you're sitting in now. The world ain't your playground, so take a bow. Can we keep it real? Let's break it down clear. You're not even close to the truth, you just disappear. So hold your breath, think about what you've done. Living in your fantasy, but you're weighing a ton. No applause for the fraud, no crown for the fool. This is from your boy, let the truth be the tool.
We can't take much more, and neither should you.
Yeah. You gotta watch who you roll with. It's a jungle out here. Turtle, listen close. We living in a world that's cold.
Only respects the violence. Cut you on the phone. Real ones move in silence. Standing all alone. You got the young ones training, lifting weights, getting strong. Taking life for granted, thinking they can't go wrong. But they'll rip your face up, karma's coming fast. You hear the toughest weep when the shadows cast. Life given by your enemies, your time is spent in a tiny cell, it's a cold, cruel world. Just cast it doing life for a little bit of sell. Counting Super Bowls up in a living hell. Choose your comrades wisely. Don't speak what you see. In this world of shadows, gotta keep it low key. Punks turn you out. Sneaks learning your route. When you leave, they'll rob you. That's what life's about. Yeah. Cars wanna try you cause they met in high school. Survival of the fittest, gotta play it cool. Your so-called friends could be